What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Stefan here. In today's video, we're going to be going over how to request the location from a user using SwiftUI. We're going to be building out this beautiful location request screen, and here's how it's going to work. So once the app starts up, if the user location has not been accessed or the user has not granted permissions to access their location, it's going to prompt them with this location request screen. They're going to hit allow location, and then once they hit allow while using app, we're going to dismiss that screen, take the user back to like a home screen, and this is some location data for the user that's actually being displayed there. So it's a pretty simple, quick tutorial, guys. That's going to allow you to really just drag and drop this sort of feature into any one of your applications that requires location data from the user, and you can customize it as you see fit. Now, you'll notice that if I run this application again, it will not prompt me with that location request screen because the user has already granted location access to the application. So let's go ahead and get started with the code now. I know you guys want to get started with the code, but before we do that, make sure you check out my online courses. I have some available on udemy.com. Really awesome stuff like Instagram clones, Twitter clones, Uber clones. I also have some courses available on my personal website that are going to teach you guys how to build real world production ready professional applications. The courses on my personal website are a little bit more detailed, provide you with some more in-depth analysis of things, more advanced level techniques. The stuff on Udemy is still great, much more affordable price point, but you are going to get what you pay for there. So make sure you guys check that out. And make sure you hit that like and subscribe button if you like the content on this channel. Now we can finally go ahead and get started with the code. All of the stuff that I just mentioned is going to be in the links or in the description of this video. I linked everything below, so make sure you guys check that out if you're interested in taking your programming skills to that next level. So let's go ahead and get started with building out this project, guys. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and get started with the code. So I have a blank Xcode project open right now. Our preview is loading for our content view. So while we wait for that, let's go ahead and create a couple new files that we're going to need. So go ahead and select this guy up here, and we're going to create a new SwiftUI view, and that is going to be called location request view. And this is going to be the screen where we actually prompt the user to request location services from them. So they're going to have to hit a button that says allow location services, and that's where this is where we're going to handle all of that. And we're going to create one more file, and this is just going to be a Swift file, and this is going to be called location manager. So this is the tool that we're going to use, or the manager that we're going to use to manage our location services. So let's hit create. And let's go ahead and actually build this out first. So this is going to be really the core of this feature, right? Like I said, this manager is going to be used to manage our location services. So it's going to create our location manager. It's going to be used to request location services from the user, so on and so forth. So we're going to go ahead up at the top and import core location. And we're going to create this as a class called location manager. It needs to inherit from NS object and observable object. So let's go ahead and create the CL location manager. So we're going to say private let CL location, manager equals CL location manager. And this manager is what we're going to use to actually request location services from the user, monitor changes in location status, so on and so forth. Then we're going to create a published property for our user location. So it's going to be optional to start because when this location manager gets initialized, we don't have the user location just yet. We need to request it from the user. Okay, and then we're going to create a shared instance of this guy. So we're going to say static let shared equal location manager. And this is an optional means of doing this, guys. Basically, what this shared instance is going to allow us to do is access this location manager from anywhere in the application. We'll go over a little bit We'll go over this in more detail as we go on with the tutorial, and when we actually implement this, we'll see the use or the utility of this shared property. But anyway, let's go ahead and create our initializer. So we're going to say override init, and we're going to say super.init, and then we're going to say manager.delegate equals self, manager.desired accuracy equals KCL location accuracy best. This is standard location manager details. And then we're going to say manager.start updating location. Okay, so you guys will notice that we can't assign this type location manager to the delegate, and that's because we need to conform to a protocol. So down below your last bracket, go ahead and create an extension for location manager, and it's going to conform to the CL location manager delegate protocol. And we're going to implement two functions here, okay? One is going to be did change authorization status right here. And this is going to be the function that monitors changes on the user's location status. So it starts off as undetermined, right? And then if they allow access, their status or the permission status changes, right? So when the permission status changes, this function will get called and will be able to do stuff. So we're going to say switch status, and let's just go ahead and build, and we can implement all the missing cases. So just go ahead there and hit fix. And we're just going to add a bunch of print statements here, guys. Not determined. And we're just going to copy and paste. So this is going to be auth when in use, and just go ahead and you guys can just add some stuff here, auth always, and this will just indicate to us what the status of our user's location service is. If you guys have, you know, some specific needs in your application to do something specific based on each one of these statuses, you can implement them in these case statements here. So we'll say case restricted and case denied, right? And here we can just hit break. Okay, so that's one function. The other one is going to be did update locations. So this is going to be for when we actually receive the user's location. And that's when we're going to update this user location property. So let's go ahead and do that really quickly. We're going to say guard let location equals locations.last else return, and self.userLocation equals location. And guys, the reason this is a published property is because what we're going to do really is, you know, if the user location is not allowed, we're going to present them with that request screen. And then whenever they allow the location and this property gets set or it gets published, we want to dismiss that screen and take the user back to like a home screen, potentially display a map or, you know, something like a home view, something like that, right? So we definitely want to be able to listen for changes on this user location property. This is where we set it after we request our location permission from the user. So let's go ahead and write that final piece of functionality. We can go ahead and add a function here that says request location. And we're going to use this function a little bit later. We'll see when that gets implemented. And we're just going to say manager.request when in use authorization. So make sure that's when in use authorization. So this basically means that we're only going to be accessing the user's location when the app is in use. That's typically what users are most likely to allow, because if you ask the user to use or access their location when the app is not in use, there is some additional functionality you can get from that, but it is more taxing on the battery life of the application and the overall data usage. So this is the most common and used option, to only use location services when the app is in the foreground or when it's in use. Anyway, this is our location manager, guys. So this is all we need for that. We're going to see how it's used in just a little bit. So let's actually hop into our content view. And let's hit resume here just so we can see our good old hello world showing up. Let me get this as an iPhone 11 Pro Max. Okay, so basically what we need to do now is initialize that location manager. So we're going to say at observed object var location manager equals location manager, and then we can say dot shared. So this will initialize that shared instance or use the shared instance that we created. And we'll see how this comes in handy a little bit later on. And if we have time, I'll show you guys how to do this without use of that shared instance in case that's a little bit intimidating or it doesn't make sense to you. It's certainly not the only way to do this. It's just what I prefer. So now that we have our location manager, guys, let's go ahead and we can cut this text out of the body, and we're going to create this group here. So basically what this group is going to allow us to do is act as some sort of view router, right? Where we're going to be able to implement a condition here and show the user of either one view or another based on some sort of condition. So let's go ahead and implement that condition. So we're going to say if location manager.user location equals nil, then I'm going to want to show our location request view. Else, and then we can just paste hello world back in there. Right. So this preview is taking forever to load. So let's just go ahead and run the application. Xcode 13 beta is not great so far. Okay, so let's see. Our location manager.user location equals nil. Okay, it says hello world, but that's because our location request view also says hello world. So let's add a text component here that says request location from user. And let's see what shows up now. So we can see that here's where we're going to build out our location request screen. And this is going to be pretty simple, guys. I'm going to kind of blitz through building this UI because this is not a UI focused tutorial, obviously. So let's just go ahead and build out this UI super quick. So we're going to create a Z stack, and that's because we want this nice background color of a system blue. And then we're going to say dot ignores safe area. And I don't know why, but man, my preview just does not want to load. There we go. Cool. So then we're going to create a VStack, and we're going to create an image system name, paper plane dot circle dot fill, and it's going to be resizable, scale to fit, dot frame. Give it a height and width of 200. We don't need our alignment there. That looks nice. And then dot foreground color is dot white. And we're going to give it a padding bottom of 32. Okay. And then we're going to create a text component that says, would you like to explore places nearby? So this can obviously just be whatever you guys want, whatever is most relevant to what you're doing in your application. So now let's go ahead and configure this text component with the correct modifier. So we're going to say dot font dot system size of 28, weight is dot semi bold, design we don't need. And actually, guys, just go ahead and add a foreground color of white modifier on the whole VStack, and then we can just delete that guy. And then we're going to say dot multi-line text alignment is dot center, and then we're going to say dot padding. Cool. And then we're just going to have another text component that says, let's just go ahead and copy and paste this. And this is just going to say start sharing your location with us. And we want the text alignment but we don't want it to be huge. And then we're just going to say dot frame width is going to be 140, and that's going to just like expand it to a new make sure that it spans 2 lines. I just think that looks a little cleaner because this spans 2 lines and we also want that to span 2 lines. That's just, you know, my take on it. Feel free to design it however you guys want. Add a spacer, and now we're going to add 2 button components. So go ahead and create another VStack, and we're going to add a button with an action and a label. Here we'll say print request location from user. Our label is going to be a text that says allow location dot padding dot font font dot headline dot foreground color dot system blue. Okay, so not exactly what we want yet, but then we're going to give it a frame. Width is going to be UI screen dot main dot bounds dot width, and then we're going to give it a padding of dot horizontal of 32. And this way, guys, it will always fit the bounds of the screen, and it will just have a padding of 32 pixels on either side. So that's how you make sure that your UI is adaptable to multiple screens. That's just one of the ways to do it. Actually, go ahead and make it minus 32 there. So make sure it's minus 32, and then we're going to say dot background is dot white, or sorry, color dot white dot clip shape is a capsule, and dot padding. Foreground color system. Okay, so we actually need to say color and put that system blue guy inside parentheses with a color parenthesis dot system blue. So now we have this really nice like oval shaped button. So then we're gonna need one more button that is like a maybe later button. So let's go ahead and build that. It's gonna be a lot easier than that. So we're gonna say button action label. We'll just say print dismiss, and then label is going to be text maybe later dot padding dot font dot headline dot foreground color is dot white. Okay, so that looks pretty good, right? And then let's go ahead and give this VStack some padding on the bottom to like just move it up a tad. So let's see, dot padding dot bottom 32. Cool. And then guys, we're also going to add a spacer on top of this, at the very top of this VStack, just to push all that stuff down. So that looks pretty good. You know, it's a pretty simple like location request screen that's like a pretty like user-friendly, or just a nice looking user interface that really adds a lot to your app. So this is something that you can pretty much just drag and drop into any app that you might want to request location services from a user. So now let's go back into our content view, and let's actually, okay, so we have our location request view. So let's see if this actually presents us with that. Yeah, so that's looking really good. Let me like make that bigger. So we notice that our user location is nil, so it's showing us this location request view, right? So that's good. Now we actually want to implement the functionality to hit that button and not just have it, have a print statement. We actually want to request the location from the user. So it's really simple to implement this. Let's just go ahead here, and we can say location manager dot shared dot request location, right? So this will just access that shared instance that we have across the entire application and get that request location function, And if you guys remember, that's just going to actually fire off that location request for the user. So let's run the app and see if that works. We're actually going to notice that it doesn't work just yet. There's one more thing that we have to do. So we're going to get this error here, right? We have to access the app's info plist file and add this location when in use usage description. If you guys are using the new version of Xcode or the Xcode 13 beta, you will notice that there is no longer a plist file. That's not a bug. Xcode actually did that intentionally. So how we're going to access this plist file, or property list, to actually add this location request usage description, right, that tells the user why we need their location. We're going to go up to the project file here, or the project tab, and then we're going to select this info tab. If you guys don't see this, make sure that if you click on this target up in the upper left, that you are not on the project file, or the project component, but the actual target of the app, and then hit info. And then we are going to go here and add this usage description. So we're going to say privacy space dash space, and then it's like location when, yeah. So just type this out, guys. It has to be exact. So it has to be a capital P with privacy capital P privacy space dash space capital L location when in usage description. Okay, so add that, and you can go ahead and add whatever message you want to the user. Please allow us to access your location. And now we can run this app again, and we will see that when we hit that, it actually prompts us to allow our location to be accessed by this application. So now if I hit allow while using app, you guys notice that it automatically takes me back to my home screen, which is awesome, right? So as soon as we allow that location, because this location manager is an observable object and this user location is a published property, right? And then back in the content view, we are observing that location manager. So that's sort of like the, how do you say it? Like the path of how to listen to changes on something like a view model or a manager, right? So you make your manager or your view model an observable object that says, hey, this thing is going to get observed, or something needs to be able to listen to this thing, right? Because this is going to talk to something, but it needs a listener, right? So this is an observable object, and it has a published property. So it says, hey, when this property gets published or it changes, something needs to listen for that change and then, update the view accordingly. So the thing that's listening for changes on this is our content view, right? We are observing the location manager in our content view. But in order to observe it, we have to cast the location manager as something that is observable. You can't observe something that's not observable, right? That's just how SwiftUI set this up. And then we have this group here, and we are looking at this user location property, which is our published property. So when that gets published, the location manager, or this group, reconfigures itself. The view kind of reconstructs itself, goes back through this logic, and it says, oh, hey, user location is no longer nil. So now we are going to show the text hello world. If we want to show something cooler, we can do like text user location, location manager dot user location dot coordinate or something. What's it giving me brief for? We can just say user location, I guess. And I guess we could force unwrap it because we know it's not nil. Or we could say else if let location equals location manager dot user location. then we could just pass in location dot, like, yeah, let's just pass in the location. And you guys will notice that now we get back the actual location of the user. It's a bunch of like weird location data. And you guys notice we also get this print statement back that says auth when in use, because that's hitting this function here in our location manager where it's, hey, we're in this authorized when in use case, so it gives us back this print statement. And this is all of the user's location data. It's like their coordinates, their speed, and the date, and the Eastern or the time, you know, that we're in. It's like pretty specific location data. But essentially, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this video. Once again, if you guys like the content, make sure you like and subscribe here. I hope that this video is helpful for you guys and that you can now use this in any application where you have to request location from a user. Pretty good UI, pretty good functionality. And that's going to wrap it up for this one, guys. So thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. And once again, make sure you like and subscribe and check out my courses online at stephancodes.com/shop. See you guys later. Peace.